Oh, after a long summer of just talking about baseball, a long summer of nothing between July, August, till we get into September, we finally get something to talk about. It's back! Hockey is back! It's back! Hockey is back! The NHL is back in session! I can't believe it! I survived another summer without talking about hockey. Oh, it's great! Oh, and I am your host, Andy Alfred. Welcome you into a special edition of All Andy Alfred, the NHL Preview Edition 2015-2016 season. I am your host, Andy Alfred, coming to you from the Man Cave Studios here in Toledo, Ohio. I'm going to give you my predictions and my thoughts on this upcoming NHL season. I have a lot to get into today as well, too. And let's talk a little bit about what we saw last season in the NHL. A lot of surprises happening as well. The Tampa Bay Lighting was one of the biggest surprises in the NHL last year, with the Tampa Bay Lighting making it past the New York Rangers in the Eastern Conference Finals and going to the Stanley Cup Finals. But the team that dominated the Western Conference most of the season was the Chicago Blackhawks. And it proved it again last season in the Stanley Cup Finals between the Tampa Bay Lighting and the Chicago Blackhawks, as the Chicago Blackhawks were the Stanley Cup champions. Now, on Wednesday night, they'll be taking on the New York Rangers to start the 2015-2016 campaign. Will it be interesting to see what the Chicago Blackhawks will have without their key players during the offseason, losing key players during the offseason, such as Brandon Saad? What will happen with this team? This is where you come to find out. This is where you come to find out about your teams. Whether it be the Anaheim Ducks, can the Ducks be the team that everybody is talking about? Will it be the Toronto Maple Leafs with the new coaching regime of Mike Babcock? And what will happen with Dave Bilesma in the beautiful city of Detroit, Michigan? And what about what happens in Columbus, Ohio, with your Columbus Blue Jackets? And the Pittsburgh Penguins. Will the Penguins be better this year? This is where you come to find out. And you hear my predictions right here on All Andy Alfred on the NHL Prediction Show 2015. So the 2015-2016 season will be interesting one to say the least. With the new additions to the NHL of Connor McDavid from the Edmonton Oilers and Jack Eichel of the Buffalo Sabres. These two players are the next wave of Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin. These two players are going to be battling out for one another for the rest of their careers, to see who will be their next superstar, who will be the next superstar in the NHL realm. It will be interesting to see how these two individuals do in their first NHL regular season game. The preseason wasn't really that great for Connor McDavid, nor was it good for Jack Eichel. But we'll see what happens with these two stars in the NHL this upcoming season. Cannot wait to see what they do and see how they're going to perform. Also, this upcoming season, we'll celebrate the 10th year between Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin in their hot rivalry. Crosby up 1-0 in the Stanley Cup round. Will Alexander Ovechkin be able to get his Stanley Cup this upcoming season? Will the Capitals continue to impress and improve this upcoming year? This is where you come to find out. This is the NHL preview, and now it's time for my predictions for the 2015-2016 NHL season. We're going to start with the Western Conference first and foremost, since this area is an Eastern Conference division area. And let's talk a little about the predictions in the Western Conference. In the Pacific Division, you have 7 teams. The Arizona Coyotes, I think, will be finishing in last place this upcoming year. Arizona is not really a great club this year, still in the rebounding mood, and trying to understand what this club will be having this upcoming year. The Edmonton Oilers and Connor McDavid will not have a solid start to the season. They might have an early run early on in the season, but I really think that they're destined to finish 6th overall in the Pacific Division. Vancouver, I believe, will be finishing 5th overall in the Pacific Division. However, the one team that I think will be making a playoff spot in fourth place in the Pacific Division, getting a wild card position, is the San Jose Sharks. The Sharks have unfinished business this season. With the window of opportunity and collections were down this past offseason, the San Jose Sharks have to improve. And with the lines of Patrick Marleau, Joe Thornton, and Joe Pavelski adding Joe Ward to their lineup and stocking up on their defense with Paul Martin and Mark Karate, that'll be very, very key for them. But the key departures, though, for them are Antti Niemi, Mike Irwin, and as well as John Scott. It'll be interesting, but Brett Burns and his club, Patrick Marleau, and Ryan Carpenter, very solid players for the San Jose Sharks. Overall, I see them finishing 4th overall in the Pacific Division. Very good club this year. Their odds this year to win the Stanley Cup are 33-1. I projected them to finish 4th in the Pacific, and it'll be very interesting to see what happens with them this upcoming year. Logan Couture, if you don't have him on your fantasy team, pick him up. Solid player. Solid player. So 3rd overall, I have the Calgary Flames. The Flames are going to be a very good club this upcoming year, getting a key assets and key pickups during the offseason. But I believe the number 2 team overall, which will be a surprise to most of you, is the LA Kings. The Kings, coming off of a season that really, in all aspects, was a little bit of a down year for them. The Kings, having such of a finishing not even in the playoff hunt and falling off the face of the earth towards the end of the season, really hurt the Kings. And the Kings were strong down the middle, but missing the playoffs with one of the best goalies and blue liners in the world, the Kings are not going to be taken lightly. The Kings are going to be a for real club. And they are going to be a for real club this upcoming season. It will be interesting to see how they're going to perform this upcoming season. Especially when it comes to how they're going to perform in depth and on the ice. There we go. And the Kings, I think, are going to be a solid club. Can they be the solid club that they were a few years ago when they made the postseason and made the Stanley Cup run? It's possible. Anything is possible early on in the season. But the Kings, I think, will be a team to watch for this upcoming year. But the team in the Pacific Division that most teams and most everybody in the NHL is talking about is the Anaheim Ducks. And the Ducks, I think, are for real. The Anaheim Ducks are for the real deal. And the Anaheim Ducks, I have them finishing number 1 overall in the Pacific Division and the number 1 overall seed in the Western Conference. Yes, I am predicting the Anaheim Ducks to go pretty far. Now, bear in mind, I do say that Anaheim can be a little bit of a pushover. Can the 4th time be a charm for them, though? I think it can be. The acquisition of Sean Horikoff, as well as Christian Stewart, Kevin Bieksa, and Joe Polska, along with Ryan Getzlaf, Ryan Kessler. You also have the great player. Of Shane Thornton, Theodore, as well as Frederick Anderson behind the pipes, and Anton Kabalin in behind the pipes as a backup is solid. This team is built. This team is ready to go. The special teams have helped them out. The X Factor, I think, is is going to be this kid out of. It's going to be Chris Stewart. Also, Tim Jackman's a very good player as well too. Chris Wagner as well too. I look to see Anaheim being the number 1 overall seed in the Western Conference, and they could be the Western Conference champions. I'll get to my prediction on who's going to be in the Western Conference Finals later on in the show. But let's talk a little bit about the Central. Central Division has 7 teams. I think that Minnesota will be finishing in last place this upcoming year. Colorado will be finishing 6th overall. Dallas finishing 5th. I believe the one team that could make a big impact this upcoming year, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, and I've said about this team so many times on my show, the Winnipeg Jets. Now, Winnipeg is going to have some problems. Of course, Dustin Byfuglien is the big key thing. And really, they didn't go out and pick up anybody else. They picked up Matt Frazier in the offseason. But this young team with Brian Little, Blake Wheeler, Andrew Ladd, as well as Drew Stafford, as well as Mike Laurie and Nicole Ehlers, as well as on defense with Tyler Myers and Dustin Byfuglien and Mark Stewart and Grant Clitsome. You can't beat it. And Pavlak in behind the pipes. They're the surprise team. They could be the Columbus Blue Jackets that they were in 2008. The surprise of the Western Conference. I have them finishing 4th overall. The prediction is 30-1 odds and them making the Stanley Cup this upcoming year. I like those odds. They could give Anaheim a run. In 3rd overall, I have the Nashville Predators. Fisher looking very good this upcoming year, and the Nashville Predators looking good. The surprise is, one of the biggest surprises this upcoming year is the Chicago Blackhawks. The Blackhawks, with all the key pieces that they have lost in the offseason, the key departures that they've gotten, and the key players that they've lost, a.k.a. Brandon Saad, giving up the big contract to Patrick Kane and to Jonathan Toews, the loss of Sharp, the loss of Saad, the loss of Burnett, the loss of Brad Richards, the loss to Kimmo Timonen and Antti Ranta. The Hawks don't have key players that they picked up during the offseason. Sure, they picked up Jeremy Morin, also Marco Dano, as well as Ryan Gullop, but they picked up Artis Anisimov, a solid player who I've seen play in Columbus many times. Very key player for them. But with all those key players and young talent gone, now spread out across the NHL landscape, you leave with Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews defending their own good with Corey Crawford and Scott Darling. Duncan Keith and Brett Seabrook are going to be great. John Merson as well too, going to be great. Victor Stahlberg possibility when he is healthy. Brian Bickle and Christopher Stieg as well too. Andrew Shaw as well. And you can't count out Marian Hossa. But I have the Hawks finishing 2nd in the Central Division in the NHL Western Conference. And that means overall, the number 1 overall seed in the Central Division, in my opinion, will be the St. Louis Blues. The Blues are last year a club that surprised most of us. And surprised most of the league as well too. As I pull up their information out of my book. St. Louis. The St. Louis Blues are going to be a team to be in a repeat mode. With the pickups that they've got of Andre Barat, Peter Harold, Jordan Carson, the solid 4th liner, and Kyle Bolsvik, as well too as Troy Brouwer on the 2nd line at right wing. Jake Allen and Brian Elliott, solid players, but they lost TJ Oshie and Ole Jokin and Barrett Jackman. This club looks depleted. But I think that the St. Louis Blues are going to be a very, very good club this upcoming year. And they're going to be a very solid club to watch. But I have the St. Louis Blues finishing number 1 overall in the Western Conference in the Central Division. Do I see them finishing number 1 overall over Anaheim? So if you look at it as this way, Anaheim will be the number 1 overall seed. In 2nd place will be St. Louis. Anaheim will be playing number 1. Then it'll be St. Louis. Then Then I have LA, Chicago, and then Nashville and Calgary. The 2 wildcard positions, San Jose and Winnipeg. If you have a problem with that, you could tweet the show. Is that all Andy Alfred? Feel like it's a different matter? Is that all Andy Alfred? Or post a comment underneath the program. So now let's go to the Eastern Conference. And let's start with the Atlantic Division. The Atlantic Division has 8 teams in this division. Starting off with the Buffalo Sabres. But I have them flipped. I have them finishing 7th this year. The Florida Panthers will be finishing 8th overall. Florida's not very good this year. Jaromir Jagr and the older club is not really helping them out. And that building is starting to show. People are starting to show this team in this city does not care about the team. Move them to get back. Buffalo I have finishing 7th. Detroit, I have them finishing 6th. Now I'll go in depth more later on in the program about the Detroit Red Wings. You know what? I will talk about the Red Wings now. Let's talk about the Red Wings. The loss of Mike Babcock really set the Red Wings off into a tailspin, my friends. They set them into a tailspin. And the players that they lost, they only lost Stephen Weiss. But a new regime of Bosman behind the bench, a rookie coach who has no NHL experience behind the pipes, except for an brief assistance of Mike Babcock. Bosma is not the answer for the Detroit Red Wings. He's a temp. The real guy is out there somewhere. And they had to promote within. But Henrik Zetterberg, Pavel Datsyuk, Gustav Nyquist, Thomas Tatar, Brad Richards, the new addition. Timo Pekkanen, that's the second line. The third line will be Justin Albuquerque, Riley Sheehan, Thomas Jurko, third line. Fourth line will have Derek Helm, Luke Glendening, and Johan Franzen. And then in the fifth is Drew Miller, Anderson, and Forisco, Tarask, Andy Malai, and Marta as well too. On defense, Nicholas Cromwell, Danny DeKaiser, Mike Green added to the lineup from the Washington Capitals. Erickson, Smith, and Quincy, as well as the defensive pairings. Peter Mrazek is projected to be the number 1 overall. The number 1. Jimmy Howard, 2. Thomas McAuliffe is 3. Is Jimmy Howard on his way out? I think so. But I have the Detroit Red Wings finishing 6th. And for the first time this season, not making the postseason. I think that they're going to have some troubles this upcoming year. And the coaching staff is not going to be ready for it. I don't think Detroit is ready for this season. And I really don't think that Detroit is going to be the team this year. And they're not going to be the team to make the Stanley Cup. They're not going to be the team to make the playoffs. The streak, in the words of The Undertaker, is over. I have Toronto finishing 4th overall. Let's talk about the Maple Leafs. And I have them not in the playoff picture this upcoming year. And that's a lot of people were surprised by what I had to say about Toronto. Toronto with the new regime of Mike Babcock at the helm with Brendan Shanahan as the GM. It's a great pickup for them. And what they did in the offseason, getting up Daniel Eric, Sean Mraz, Nick Spalding, Mark Abello, P.A. Perron, Zach Byman, Matt Hudwick. Hudwick I can see. Solid defenseman. Martin Merkel, Scott Harrington. You think that this team is really for real? They lost Phil Kessel. They've lost Eric Brewer. They've lost Tim Erickson. They've lost David Booth. They've lost Colton Orr. Jonathan Bernier is the savior for this team right now. Looking at the lineup for them, Fran Riesek, Lopo, Nylander, Bozak, Kendries are the only, and then Leo Komarov, Pennick, and Holland are the only ones saving. Dion Phaneuf on defense would be number 1. Morgan Riley, Jake Gardner, Roman Pollock, Stefan Robidas. Solid defenseman. is this team for real? Can Mike Babcock cruise this team? I believe so. And that's why I'm going to pick them as a wild card team. They are going to be the wild card, one of the wild card teams this upcoming year. But then we get to the top three. And the Ottawa Senators are a very, very good club this upcoming year. Will the Hamburglar be as good as he is this upcoming year? I think so. Ottawa looks good. I'm going to take the Senators. Third overall. The Montreal Canadiens. Le Hockey de Canada. I have the Canadiens finishing second overall in the Atlantic Division. And talking about the Canadiens, for you, the grumpy old man who watches the show, watches all Andy Alfred out, and you want that Montreal prediction for you, here it is. Montreal, great goalie, but goals. That's what's going to be the lacking for them. Max Pacioretty has to step up his game as well, too. Thomas Pollock has got to step up. Brandon Gallagher's got to step up as well, too. PK Subban can't be the drama queen that he is. He can't do anything stupid this season. And Carey Price needs to stand on his head a little bit more. And he will. I think the Montreal Canadiens are the real deal. Them, the Senators, and Toronto. Possibly a 3 Eastern Conference Canadian teams in the playoff picture. It's possible. It is very, very possible. But the Tampa Bay Lightning, I think, are the team to beat in the Atlantic Division after how they performed last season, and also with Steven Stamkos looking very, very good in the preseason, as well as what this team looked like last year. Safe to say, I'll take the Tampa Bay Lightning. Which now gets me to the Metropolitan Division. The Metropolitan Division is full of 8 teams. A hard division to pick, with all the good talent that it is. However, Carolina will be finishing 8th overall. I have the New Jersey Devils finishing 7th. Philadelphia getting 6th. The New York Islanders. I think the transition between Nassau to Brooklyn is not going to be pretty for them. Even though Jonathan Tavares will step up to the plate, I have a feeling that the Islanders are not going to be the real deal. Not going to be the real deal. I have them finishing 5th overall. 4th overall, and making the playoffs in a wild card position, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Yes, the Pittsburgh Penguins making a wild card prediction play. And you wonder why and you say, well, Andy, why not Columbus? And I'll tell you why Pittsburgh. I'll tell you why. Pittsburgh is banking a lot of money on Phil Kessel to help them out on the right wing defenseman. He's not going to do that. He does not want to be a drama. He's being a drama queen. He was a drama queen when he was with Toronto, and he's a drama queen when he is with Sidney Crosby, who is, bar none, will go down as one of the best players in all of the NHL. With the Stanley Cup and the caliber and all the trophies and awards he has won. Sidney Crosby is the real deal. But him, David Perron, Sidney Crosby, and Phil Kessel on the line together. Chris Kunitz, Evgeny Malkin, and Patrick Hornquist. It's a good line right there. But then after that, you have Pascal Dupuis at right wing, and then 2 new players in Parkloff and Borno. And then you have Braun Burnett and Eric Fern and Milan Murka. Not a very good line for the 4th line for the Pittsburgh Penguins. On defense, you got Chris Letang and Oli Mata. Of course, Ian Cole and Derek Pillow and Ross Scuderi and Ben Lovejoy. Great thing. Then after that, you got Adam Colding and Tim Erickson. Brian Dula and David Wolskotsky. But Marc-Andre Fleury's got to have a breakout year this year. And after the losses of Aircroft, Sutter, Como, Guess, this team needs to get going. And they will get going. They'll have a playoff spot this upcoming year. And now it's time to turn over to the team that I think could be the surprise in the NHL this upcoming year. And now you might think I'm a homer for this. But the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to be making a deep run into this playoff position. Could be the Eastern Conference semifinals. As far as the Eastern Conference semifinals, I have them finishing third this season. Now, as a homer, I would pick them first, but I think the two teams in front of them are in better shape, are more solid footing. But the Blue Jackets are loaded. They are ready to go. This team is bound and determined to make the Stanley Cup. And this is the best opportunity for this team to do it. How deep this team is and how great this organization has become. All starts off at the top with John Davidson and the general manager of Jarmo Kekalainen. Then behind the bench with Todd Richards. A solid coach. One of the best coaches out there. And then you get to the rotation for the Blue Jackets. You start behind the pipes first. Sergei Bobrovsky, there's nothing more you can say. Coming off of a second great season, and a little bit injury prone from last season, but fully healthy and fully ready to go for this season. Curtis McElhinney also backing up. Solid player as well, too. Anton Forsberg most likely will be in Cleveland for the season. You will see him if McElhinney or Bobrovsky, God forbid, gets injured. Looking at the defense pairings. A healthy Ryan Murray this year will help this club out so much. Him being injured last year hurt the Jackets on the defense front. Jack Johnson and Fedor Tootin will be your number one line for defense. Ryan Murray and David Savard, Dalton Prout and Kevin Connaughton coming over from Dallas. Great pickup for the Jackets. A great player. A great two-way defenseman player. Then you have Cody Bolovev and Justin Falk. And then you got Adrian Borchuk and John Ramage. The losses, of course, of Artis and Anisimov, Marco Dano, Mark Letestu, Jeremy Morin, Corey Tropp. But then you look at the forwards. The forward line of Brandon Saad, Nick Foligno, and Ryan Johansson. That is Murderer's Row in the NHL. And the three of them in the preseason, yes, I know it's preseason, all three of them in the top 10 in goal scored. And Saad was only playing 3 games. This guy is solid. Second line of Dubitsky, Atkinson, and Hartnell. Great line for that one. Third line seeing as Boone Jenner and Alexander Woodward and David Clarkson. Clarkson, a great player, a great pickup for the Jackets last season from the Nathan Horton trade. And then you have the fourth line of Matt Calvert, who is, bar none, one of the best players and solid players on this Jacket team. He can put the puck in the net. You give him the puck, he can put it anywhere on the ice and set it up perfectly. Gregory Campbell coming over from the Boston Bruins. Solid center defenseman, fourth liner. And Rene Bourque, solid player. And then you have in the wings Kirby Reichel, William Karlsson, and Jared Bull, who, by the way, if you've watched my show before, you know that Jared Bull is really not that great of a player, in my opinion. Really not that great of a player. But the Jackets trust him, believe in him. And I trust him and believe him. So I will go with him. And then you have Sonny Milano, Michael Chaput, and Josh Anderson. This team is ready for a deep run in the playoffs. If we started the playoffs today, this team would be ready to go. So I have them finishing third in the Metropolitan Division. Their odds to make the Stanley Cup, 22-1. Take the odds. Because they will be there come April and May. Metropolitan Division, number 2 overall, I have the New York Rangers. The Rangers, of course, this upcoming season, they're coming off of a solid play last season. The New York Rangers are. And Rick Nash is a solid player. They're number one left winger. And how that line is set up with Zuccarello and Stefan. Then you have Derek Brassard and JT Miller and Chris Kreider. Victor Stahlberg coming over from the Chicago Blackhawks with Kevin Haynes and Eric Emerson. Tanner Glass, Dominic Moore, Jacob Fass. You have Ryan Bourque, Brandon Gibbons, Luke Adams. On defense, you have Ryan McDonough, David Girardi, Mark Stahl. The goaltenders, Henrik Lundqvist and Antti Raanta from the Chicago Blackhawks. A solid player again. Rangers are very real. I think they'll be the number 2 overall seed in the Metropolitan Division. Their odds are 16-1 to make to the Stanley Cup. Good odds. Very good odds. But the team that everybody is talking about, and I agree, are the Washington Capitals. Now you're going to say, well, Andy, Washington didn't do anything last season. Well, they went out this offseason and got TJ Oshie. They got Jason Williams. 2 right-wing help for Alexander Ovechkin. And Nicholas Backstrom. And Evgeny Kucherov. And Michael Johansson. They have Jason Chimera. Look at, they also picked up Paul Carey, Chris Bourque, and Zach Stills. Now they did lose Joel Ward. They've lost Mike Green. They lost Eric Furr and Steven Olitsky. But Holtby behind on the pipes is going to be solid. And then you look at the defense: John Carlson, Brooks Orpik, Carl Eisler. This team is going to be stacked. Last year's numbers, they were 45, 26, and 11 with 101 points. Didn't make the play. They made the playoffs, but were eliminated by the New York Island. They eliminated the New York Islanders, but then were eliminated by the New York Rangers. Their odds are 9-1 to make the Stanley Cup final. Why I have them finishing number 1 with the number 1 overall seed in the Eastern Conference. So, if you're keeping track, in the Atlantic Division, I have Tampa Bay, Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto. In the Metropolitan Division, I have Washington, New York, the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now you look at it. Who is my prediction to make it to the Stanley Cup final? Looking at it all, in the Pacific Division, I think that Chicago, with all the losses that they won't get, they will be eliminated in the second round of the playoffs. Second to third round. Could be eliminated in the Western Conference Finals. It could be eliminated in the semifinals. Winnipeg, I believe, will be making a run. They'll make it to the semifinals, probably be eliminated in the semifinals. Nashville probably will not make it to the first round. St. Louis will probably make it into the Western Conference Finals. That'll be the Western Conference Finals. But they'll play the Anaheim Ducks. And I have the Anaheim Ducks. Kills me to say that. Ducks to win the Western Conference. And in the Eastern Conference, I think the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to be the team to watch out for. Over 100 points this upcoming year. And a surprise into the Eastern Conference semifinals. Maybe the final itself. But the Washington Capitals are the real deal. They're ready for this season. They want to be ready for this season. They've been ready for this season. Washington to win the Eastern Conference. The Jackets will make a run. Detroit won't make the playoffs. Toronto will make it to the Eastern Conference quarters, through the Eastern Conference quarters. The semis might be a little bit difficult for them because they'll run into the winner of either Montreal or Tampa Bay. It'll be Tampa Bay playing Toronto, Montreal playing Ottawa. So it's either or. What would you like to pick your poison? But I have Washington taking on the Anaheim Ducks. And for the first time in a long time, Quack. 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 I have the Anaheim Ducks to win the Stanley Cup this upcoming year. Now, I might be wrong, which I probably will be wrong. Watch and see. Everybody has picked the Anaheim Ducks and the Washington Capitals. But looking at all the stats, is that really my pick? My real pick, Anaheim to play Winnipeg for the Western Conference Finals, but the Anaheim Ducks to win, of course. This is my real pick, by the way. You all thought I was going to pick what the hockey news and every reporter picking. Anaheim will win the Stanley Cup this year. But in the Eastern Conference, it will be New York versus the Jackets. And the Jackets will probably not prevail. The Rangers versus the Ducks. I'm taking the Ducks. Oh, so I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed this upcoming season of the NHL. If you watch our program, you follow our program here on All Andy Alfred, we give you in-depth analysis of the NHL that you don't get any more coverage like this from a guy who used to play hockey and watches it and covers it. It's me. Follow All Andy Alfred on Twitter. It's at All Andy Alfred. You can also follow the show on Facebook. It's at Andy Alfred, of course, and as well as subscribe to our channel right here on ClayFan23. We do shows every Monday through Friday. So enjoy this upcoming NHL season. I can't wait. Drop the puck. It's time to play. It's time for the NHL 2015-2016 season. Until next time, I am Andy Alfred. I hope you have a terrific evening. And enjoy the game. Enjoy the ice. And let's drop the puck.